Hi, you're watching Market 1 Minute, and we're here today with Fabrice Taylor, publisher of the President's Club Investor Newsletter. Welcome, Fabrice.
Thank you.
So why don't we start off by you telling us a bit about your investor newsletter and what makes it unique?
Well, I started it 4 years ago after being a long-time columnist in the Globe and Mail. I worked on Bay Street, on the sell side and the buy side. And when I was a journalist at the Globe, I used to get a lot of calls from small companies who were desperate to get attention. They were good entrepreneurs, good ideas, hardworking. They couldn't get the respect they wanted because they weren't in mining or oil and gas. And as we know in Canada, that's 90% of everything. And I always felt that if you could put together a vehicle that could provide them with, capital and support and sponsorship and advice, you could turn them into real businesses. So that was part of the idea behind the President's Club. That's not all I do, of course. I cover a lot of stocks, dividend-paying stocks, the odd large cap, but primarily I make my subscribers money in two ways. One is small, high-growth, interesting, unique companies. The other is turnaround situations, broken companies that are turning themselves around and that can make you the same kind of returns, but a little safer than taking the big risk in the small stuff.
So you did a talk today at the conference telling investors about what to look for in microcaps. Could you expand on that a little bit for us?
Sure. The number one thing in microcaps is management. You have to have a fantastic management team because their decisions actually matter. If you look at the CEO of a big bank, he's going to make 10 big decisions in his career. Most of them will be bad ideas, but it doesn't matter because a bank is a cash cow. Just go up, milk it every day, it's going to produce cash. A microcap CEO is going to make 10 decisions in a week, and each one is going to matter. And if he makes poor decisions, for whatever reason, you're going to suffer as a shareholder. What makes him make poor decisions? He's ignorant, he's egotistical, he's greedy, he's lacking confidence. He can't have any of those things. He's got to be aligned with you, confident in his idea, honest and hardworking. So that's number one. You also want to make sure he has enough money. So you want to make sure that the deal is tight, the structure of the shares is sound and tight. People who own stock are not there to flip it out in 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. They're there for the long term. And you need a very simple idea. Complicated ideas never work because word of mouth is important in small caps. The biggest ambassadors and the best ambassadors of a small cap company are its own shareholders. And if they can't explain what the company does in simple terms to their neighbors, friends, family, it's going to have a tough time. So those are the three biggest ingredients, I would say, for success.
Mm-hmm. And do you see any big trends going on in the microcap space or in the markets in general for the next 12 months or so?
I do. I mean, the biggest trend I have to say is the bull market has to be getting a little tired. It's been 6 years now that we've been in the bull market phase. And bull markets always come to an end, and they typically end when everyone is in the market. And so when you're getting stock tips from your barber or your cab driver, typically that's a sign of the top. I'm not sure we're quite there yet, but it's getting close. The quality of the deals that I see is getting poorer and poorer. The valuations are getting higher and higher. The only thing missing, I think, for a turn in the market is interest rates. They're not going up. But they will eventually, and when they do, I think you're going to see the markets roll over. And you really want to be ready, and you got to have a lot of cash for that. So I'm telling my subscribers to be at least 30% cash right now.
And so who is your typical subscriber? And for those that aren't already reading the newsletter, what benefits are they going to get?
Well, I think the number one thing that I can bring is access. I mean, I'm a long-time financial journalist. I've got a high profile in the business community. People know who I am, and I still write a column in the Globe and Mail, so I get my calls returned. And access is important. One thing that the average retail investor doesn't have is access to management, and I provide that. Access to deals, I have that as well. I also think that a lot of small investors, they're intelligent people, they may be doctors, engineers, or whatever, teachers, but they're not really savvy about accounting, about the public markets. So I try and take a kind of educational approach to what I do. Instead of just saying things, I like to explain why. And I've found over the years that my subscribers really appreciate that. If I make a pick and it doesn't go well, but I explain why it didn't go well, they feel better about it. They understand that, things don't always work out, and knowing why it didn't go well, I think, gives them the confidence to keep trying, understanding now what some of the risks are. So I do try and take a kind of educational approach, access, and of course, I like to say I'm a pretty good stock picker. I've had some big wins, had some losers too, but most of my stocks have done well. So I think those are probably the three biggest things that I offer.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to hearing more about the newsletter.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.